Today, we're going to be diving into 5 foods that can actually help fight cancer. And the first food we're going to actually talk about is green tea. Now that have been shown to lower the risk of colon cancer, stomach cancer, esophageal cancer, cancers of the gut. Actually, tea and it's flowing down and touching your entire GI tract. Now specifically EGCG. Alright, Edward George, I'm a researcher. I have actually studied food as medicine in the lab, specifically green tea. This is a natural chemical found in tea leaves, that when you brew a cup of tea the EGCG comes out into the liquid. So whether you actually have tea bags, you have loose tea leaves, have some powdered tea, which is another form of getting at green tea, whether it's matcha, catechin into your system. So what does EGCG do in the body? Well, drinking tea has been shown by cancer researchers to lower inflammation, which is the drivers for cancer. Green tea also boosts the immune system. Now it's a natural part of being alive. When our cells divide, they make mistakes. A microscopic cancer, but our immune system wings by, finds that microscopic cancer and takes it out like a sniper. And so good. And green tea actually does that as well. But the thing that I think is most remarkable is that the catechins found in green tea cut off the blood supply to tumors. Now until they actually get a blood supply, and this is a process called tumor angiogenesis. Now our normal cells, our normal tissues have angiogenesis, be able to heal our wounds, but tumors hijack this process, okay? And they actually feed themselves to get oxygen and nutrients. And when a cancer actually does that, that is actually what allows tumors to actually grow wildly. In fact, studies in the lab have shown that without a blood supply, tumors can't grow beyond about 2 millimeters in diameter. That's the size of the tip of a ballpoint pen. But the moment blood vessels can actually grow up and touch that tumor and feed it, that tumor can grow 16,000 times in just 2 weeks' time. Alright? Which is normal for healing, good for our body. When tumors hijack it, the oxygen and nutrients allow the cancer to explode in growth. So tea containing the catechins cuts off the blood supply, prevents tumor angiogenesis. One of the most powerful and important ways that green tea can actually be beneficial. In fact, walk the walk, and I find it really relaxing. I drink green tea all throughout the day, especially in the evening, something that goes back tens of thousands of years. If you look at Asia, tea bushes naturally grew there, and they are hand-picked, they are lightly roasted over fire, and then the process takes off. In order to be able to convert them into different types of tea, you mix them with jasmine flowers. For jasmine tea, you grind it into a powder to make matcha. You roast it deeper in order to be able to create black teas, which are also beneficial for your health, but black is also good. So somewhere in between is oolong tea. It's kind of a medium tea. It's called poor beautiful tea. But let's start with green tea for a second. Green tea has these anti-cancer benefits. So one of the questions is how much green tea and how much should you drink? Well, I like using loose leaf tea. You can actually brew it in a pot with hot water. Don't ever drink a tea with boiling water. You just put in there that actually does that. Scalding liquid has been shown to increase the risk of cancer because you're injuring the esophagus. So do not do that. Cool down, and actually it takes that time of cooling down to also steep out the catechins. That's a little tip for you, and if you're using a tea bag, you want to dunk the tea bag in order to be able to shake out those catechins into the liquid. When it actually is cool enough to be able to sit comfortably, then sip it. Of tea a day actually has been shown to be beneficial for many different types of conditions, but the most important thing that I like is that it tastes great and it's actually relaxing. Okay, food we're going to talk about is brassica. Brassica is a type of vegetable. It's a class group of vegetables and contains broccoli, cauliflower, bok choy, vegetable that you can sauté, common in many different types of cultures. You find it in Mediterranean, in Asia, and what's actually in these brassica vegetables are sulforaphanes. These are another natural chemical. Sulforaphanes, what do they do? Right? Good strong immune system. Cancers. Also lowers inflammation. Gasoline on a fire, making the cancer grow hotter and faster. When you actually calm inflammation, you're putting out the fire. Alright, when you want to fight cancer. The other thing that the brassica does, it actually contains the sulforaphanes that actually are anti-angiogenic. They starve the cancer by cutting off the blood supply. And this has also been shown with broccoli, for example. Tip: the grown-up broccoli is not just the treetops. That's what we used to always eat when I was a kid. Your mom always told you eat those treetops. Treetops do have the sulforaphanese, but it turns out that the stalk, the long stem of a broccoli is actually mostly a stem. It's like a tall tree with some treetops on it. The treetops have the sulforaphanese, but the stalk has twice as much of the good stuff, so if you're actually cooking broccoli, cook the treetops is what they call them, but also save that stem on a diagonal and sauté it. Absolutely delicious. Asian dishes that way. If you don't want to sauté it, actually just put it into a food processor and make a broccoli soup. You want to add a little oregano in there. It really makes a broccoli oregano soup is actually absolutely delicious. I actually included that broccoli oregano soup recipe in my book Eat to Beat Disease, if you're actually interested in it. Okay, fighting. The next food we're going to talk about is papaya. Now most people don't think about papaya as a cancer-fighting food, but this is actually sort of an oblong and kind of oval-shaped fruit, tropical. When you cut it open, inside with little black seeds. You scoop out the seeds and the flesh when it's ripe is absolutely delicious. You can just eat it up with a spoon, slice it up, put it onto a plate, and just have it for breakfast. Have it after dinner for dessert. Absolutely delicious. Now actually lower the risk of lung cancer. Now why is that? Well, that red color in papaya contains carotenoids, something called beta-cryptoxanthin and beta-carotene, and these actually are also anti-inflammatory, and you guessed it, by now you get the drift. It's actually anti-angiogenic as well. Alright, went through tea, we went through broccoli, to papaya. I love to have papaya for breakfast. It's a great way to get some fruit, which is an advantage if you need to watch the amount of sugar you eat. And speaking of sugar, sugar and fruit is perfectly fine for most people. Alright, and the whole fruit is always going to be easier on your metabolism, because it has less sugar in it than having the juice. So I always recommend having papaya fruit as opposed to papaya juice if you're going to actually enjoy papaya. Alright, and most places actually have papaya. Tropics, although we wonderful to be there, tropical countries do look for papaya, grocery store, by the way as well. The frozen chunks, those bioactive so perfectly fine cancer-starving. Next food we're going to talk about are purple potatoes. If you haven't seen a purple potato, it is a beautiful potato, regular potatoes, kind of brown potato. You could tell even from the outside there's something interesting because it's purplish on the outside, but when you cut it in half and hold it open, man comes from a natural dye called anthocyanin. Anthocyanins are bioactives, and these bioactives, you guessed it, lower inflammation, off the blood supply to tumors. Anti-angiogenic against tumors, cuts off the blood supply. Thing that I think is absolutely brilliant about purple potatoes and the research that have been done on them in a lab is that purple potatoes actually have been shown to kill cancer stem cells. Now cancers are just an abnormal mass of cells, but when they keep on coming back, they need their own stem cells to regenerate. When a cancer patient actually has their tumor removed by surgery, treated by chemo or radiation, for 5 years, but sometimes they come back. Cells come back is because of their stem cells. That cancer figures out how to resurrect itself. And so purple potatoes actually have been shown to kill colon cancer stem cells. What an amazing thing. Boot. Now steam them, sauté them. A purple potato soup. I have a recipe for purple potato gnocchi in my first book. Absolutely beautiful. It even better for your gut microbiome. Alright, because there's fiber. And potato, you actually put it in the fridge, turns into resistant starch, easier to digest, and also helps your gut microbiome become healthier. So purple potatoes, hey, just a quick note with you. Look, season, they taste fresher, have more importantly, more bioactives that help your body activate your health defenses, so they're better for you as well. Guide that shows you some of these foods called 3 disease-fighting foods for the spring. Trust me, put in your cart the next time you're in the grocery store or when you're at the farmer's market. Get my guide for you right now for free in the caption below. Now let's get back to the video. Alright, let's talk about next food. To talk about pomegranates, speaking about purplish reddish foods, the pomegranate, also a tropical fruit, although you can find them in most grocery stores now, they are kind of like a big apple with a thick skin and a little bit of a crown at the very top. They're heavy, because they're filled with seeds that around every seed is a little bit of liquid, and that's pomegranate juice. Now this and pomegranate juice are packed with bioactives. These are naturally occurring chemicals that give foods their biological punch. Okay, these foods with these bioactives, and in pomegranate, now L-glutanins also help to give the bite, the kind of acidity to the color of the pomegranate. You want to be careful when you actually eat and work with pomegranate, because that dye around the seeds will stain your clothes if you're not careful. Alright, but absolutely delicious. Each seed looks to like a little ruby, beautiful red color. You ever see pomegranate in salad? The other day called fattoush, and it had little pomegranate. So as you're eating the salad, you bite into it these little ruby fruity rubies, and an explosion of sweet flavor and juice. Absolutely delicious. Okay, well they do a couple of things. Have been shown to cut off the blood supply to tumors. Alright, starve cancer. Anti-angiogenic. Clinical studies have even been done in men with prostate cancer, showing that pomegranate juice can actually slow down the rise of PSA. You don't know, a blood marker that goes up when you have prostate cancer. And for men who are actually having their PSA go up, them at a cruising altitude, so they wouldn't actually keep rising. Pretty amazing it turns out. Elijah tannins are anti-androgenic, supply to cancer, and in the case of prostate cancer, make it harder for them to actually grow and become more aggressive, hence, is able to be leveled off. Now that pomegranate juice does, which is really amazing, which you eat trickles down your gut, goes down to your lower gut, your colon to produce natural mucus. Right, we think about mucus normally, in the mouth. Right, throughout our GI tract, all throughout intestines, and in the colon. Colon secretes mucus, mucin. It helps a natural healthy gut bacteria called Akkermansia mucinophila. Some people say mucinophilia. Wrong, this is one of your best friends of gut bacteria, because Akkermansia, and when it comes to cancer, talks to your immune system, makes your immune system a lot beefier and stronger in the battle against cancer. So here's pomegranate with pomegranate juice, with Elijah that actually lower inflammation. They starve cancer by cutting off the blood supply. They help nurture your gut microbiome, including an organism that actually talks to your immune system and helps your immune system pounce and get rid of cancer. Alright, 5 foods that actually help fight cancer. Let's go through them. Green tea, these like broccoli, papaya, and pomegranate. I hope you found this useful and thank you for watching. Hi there, stay here and check it out, and I'll see you there.